Okay. I'll go ahead and just start with the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Shrinvatam Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantosti Abhadrani Vidunoti Sarasratam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Reading Hare Krishna is
Hare Krishna, Madhu.
oh, okay, Prabhu, you are here. All right, you can take over. Thank you.
Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 10, Text 18 through 21. Text 18. Bhallai sanchintyamananam shirobhishcharukundalai urvirhematalabhair durbirvalayavalgubihi harakeyuramukutair ushnisaishcha mahadhanai astratastarana bhuvo rejorvira manohara. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, the heads of those who were cut to pieces by the arrows of the Dhruva Maharaj were decorated very beautifully with earrings and turbans. The legs of their bodies were as beautiful as golden palm trees. Their arms were decorated with golden bracelets and armlets, and on their heads there were very valuable helmets bedecked with gold. All these ornaments lying on that battlefield were very attractive and could bewilder the mind of a hero. Purport. It appears that in those days soldiers used to go to the battlefield highly decorated with golden ornaments and with helmets and turbans, and when they were dead, the booty was taken by the enemy party. Their falling dead in battle with their many golden ornamental dresses was certainly a lucrative opportunity for the heroes on the battlefield. Text 20. Hatavashishta itareranajira raksho gana kshatriya varyasayatai prayo viprakna vayava vidudruvur mrigendra vikridita yutapaiva. Translation. The remaining yakshas who somehow or other were not killed had their limbs cut to pieces by the arrows of the great warriors, Dhruva Maharaj. Thus they began to flee, just as elephants flee when defeated by a lion. Text 21. Apasyamana satada tatayina mahamrade kanchana mano vottamaha purim didrikshan apina vissadvisham namayinam veda vikirshitam jana. Translation. Dhruva Maharaj, the best of human beings, observed that in that great battlefield, not one of the opposing soldiers was left standing with proper weapons. He then desired to see the city of Alakapuri, but he thought to himself, no one knows the plans of the mystic yakshas. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bodhale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Shanyavadi Paschadhyadesha Dharini Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I humbly seek the blessings of all assembled Vaishnavas, and thank you for the opportunity to purify myself by summarizing from Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll try to summarize today's verses based on lectures from Jayadvaita Swami. And then please forgive if I add my own interpretation to this summary. So we are in this chapter called Dhruva Maharaj's Fight the Yakshas, and we are seeing how early on Dhruva Maharaj, on hearing the news of his brother Uttama being killed by the Yakshas, got very overwhelmed with lamentation and anger, and then set on to defeat or kill the whole Yaksha dynasty. And we are seeing how in today's verse, like number 18, it says that 18 and 19, that the heads of those who were cut to pieces by the arrows of Dhruva Maharaj were decorated very beautifully with earrings and turbans. So Maharaj was saying that the Yakshas were decorated with gold ornaments like earrings, armlets, and heavy turbans, etc. And then Maharaj was pointing out that what was the use of all those to the soldiers when they were dead. And Prabhupada always says this example that anything material which doesn't connect us with Krishna are all decorations on, or like decorations on a dead body. Because we see here also that all the ornaments and all the opulences of the soldiers were just finished when they all died. And then we can see that in the verse it says the enemy party took over the ornaments and valuable items from the people dead. And again, Maharaj was saying, how long can those people have it? I mean, only until they are finished also. So again, the point here is that these are all temporary. It's not connected to Krishna. In fact, Prabhupada says that in Srimad Bhagavatam, one of the verses, Prabhupada says that a heavy turban on a king is only a burden, because if he drowns in the water, then he's only going to drown sooner or faster when he has a heavy turban. Unless he uses his uses his head to bow down to Krishna with his turban. Otherwise, his turban is only a weight to cause his destruction soon. And so there are a couple of lessons that come out from this section, specifically this chapter. Firstly, the lesson that Dhruva Maharaj is teaching us is that one needs to control anger. Because we see that Prabhupada also writes it in purport that Dhruva Maharaj, although should be angry on the Yakshas because they killed his brother, but at the same time, Dhruva Maharaj's anger is not proportionate. It was too much that he wanted to destroy the entire race of the Yakshas. And this concept of anger and how one should control is specified in different scriptures, and especially in Upadesha Amrita, Nectar of Devotion, which is 11 verses, condensed 11 verses. So there, the first verse talks about 6 things to control. And then the next verse talks about 6 things that are favorable to bhakti. And then third verse talks about 6 things that destroy bhakti. So the first thing, or one of the things to control in the first verse is krodha. And Prabhupada gives us the example that anger is like, should be used like a knife, meaning one should use it, but one should use it controllably, or one should have controlled anger. And Dhruva Maharaj here, he let anger take control. And there is one small story from Mahabharata that is covered in the lecture, that once there was Satyaki, Krishna and Balram going somewhere in a night, one night, and then they wanted to take rest. But because the place was not very safe, they decided to take turns to sleep and then to guard also. So the plan was that for 2 hours, Satyaki would stay awake while Krishna and Balram will sleep. And then Balram will wake up, and then he will guard when Satyaki and Krishna sleeps, and then finally Krishna will wake up, and then Balram and Satyaki will sleep for another 2 hours. So this way, everyone got 4 hours of sleep. So when Balram and Krishna were sleeping, Satyaki was guarding, and then there was a demon who came, and then he said, you can fight with me, and if you win me, that's fine, but if I win, then I will eat you, and then I will also eat Krishna and Balram. So Satyaki took the challenge, and he fought with the demon, and then for 2 hours, Satyaki could not even do anything to the demon. The demon was just becoming stronger and stronger. And then he gave up, and then he ran back, and then he woke up Balram. So Balram knew about this and came to know about this, and then he came out, and then he was also very angry on this demon, and then the demons told him the same thing, that he can fight and try, but if he loses, then he'll be eating all the 3 of them. And then Balram also started fighting, and then for 2 hours he couldn't do much, and he became tired, and then he ran to Krishna, and then woke up Krishna, and then told him this. And then Krishna smilingly came out, and then when the demon told him the same thing, Krishna said that, oh, you demon, you cannot even do anything to me. And Krishna was just smiling all the time. He's very calm, composed. And the more Krishna was calm and smiling and composed, then the demon becomes small in size. And then he became so small that Krishna tied him in the end of his dhoti, and then he brought him to Satyaki and Balaram. And then they were like, asked Krishna, like, what happened to this demon? And then Krishna untied him from his dhoti and showed him, like, are you talking about this demon? And then they were like very surprised. And then the point was that the demon was none other than anger. Because the more Satyaki and Balram, of course, this is a Leela, but more Satyaki and Balram were kind of angry and fighting back or responding immediately to this demon, the more the demon grew. That's typically what happens with anger. And then Krishna kind of demonstrated that the more one is calm and equipoised and composed in triggering moments, then the anger subsides, and the impact is less harmful. So again, the point here is that we have to remember things always pass with time. I mean, there are trying situations, but they also pass with time. And devotee should just be equipoised, like also instructed by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Sitoshna Duksukha Dakada verse. And then one other tip that was kind of mentioned in the lecture is that, I mean, typically, if assuming there is our guru and standing in front of us, or we are in the temple in front of Krishna, would we fight, react? Would we become angry on one another person? We wouldn't, mostly. So we should just imagine, remember that we are always in front of Guru. Krishna is always watching us, and that way we can control our anger. So one other point that is demonstrated here in this section is that sometimes material or Maya can be very, very powerful, meaning it can overwhelm us. So here we also see that Dhruva Maharaj was at some point just covered by all the arrows, and was just submerged by the Yakshas attack on him. And then everyone, the demigods and a lot of the onlookers thought that Dhruva Maharaj was finished. But we know that he was calm inside for some time, and then he came out with extra vigor. In fact, Prabhupada says that, I think in the purport, Prabhupada said, Dhruva Maharaj had a new vigor to defeat them. In other words, whatever incompetency he might have had has washed away. So the message here is that, again, when there are some overwhelming situations, like at the same time, we might have like health issues or social issues, economic issues, job issues, whatever, any type of stress could come all together at some point. And then, like Dhruva Maharaj is teaching here, and also Srila Prabhupada mentions this in several places, that one should go within himself. Like also Krishna says that one should be like a tortoise in Bhagavad Gita when there are trying situations. So one should stay calm, go within himself, and meditate on Guru and Krishna. So typically in Kali Yuga, we are very, very responsive. I mean, if something happens, we want to react immediately. But if we can be detached and we can remove from that external situation for a few moments, and then if we can contemplate on why that is happening and if we were a cause for it. So not to react immediately and to contemplate is kind of the message here. Because if you react immediately, then the situation escalates. But whereas silence is very, very powerful. So there's one pastime, even when Srila Prabhupada was very, very angry. Of course, Srila Prabhupada's anger is very different. But Srila Prabhupada was very angry, and then he was chastising the devotees because they were not doing or following his instructions properly for conducting a yajna. But then immediately you would see that Srila Prabhupada started to chant. So that's a message that if our mind is very, very disturbed and overwhelmed, then we can always sit and chant. And also, the other tip to not react immediately is that we should contemplate on why something is happening. Maybe it's something that we are not doing right in bhakti process. Maybe the way we conduct ourselves amongst others and reciprocation with others. And maybe it's the lacks in our devotional service that also is causing that situation. So rather than thinking other person is the cause, we could think, or we should think that we are contributors to the situation also. So also we know that today is Kartik month, or Kartik month start, first day of Kartik. So we can always take up some vows. I mean, it is always recommended that in Kartik we can take up a simple 1 or 2 vows and then follow it strictly, and that will be very, very rewarding. So I was just thinking from this section, these 2 lessons are very, very timely, in the sense that personally for me, I can work on not getting angry on triggering situations. And also the second lesson is that we shouldn't react immediately in triggering situations, and then rather contemplate internally and work on following the instructions we have received through the parampara more strictly, at least this month, because they say it only takes 21 days to create a habit. So we have like 30 days in Kartik, so we can work on 1 or 2 things that we want to improve on, be it more attentive chanting, or be it just chanting in the morning, or be it reading 1 verse of Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, or even like I remember Swami Bhagavan Keshav Swami mentioning that one of the Kartiks, his vow was to just chant in 1 sitting. So he was just finishing all the 16 rounds in the morning. So that could be one of the vows. It could be just going offering a lamp in the evening, or with taking Deity darshan, going to temple every day. So there are so many opportunities, so many vows we can take, from anywhere simple to like difficult ones. But of course, we can start from something simple, because ultimately bhakti should be enjoyable. I mean, if bhakti is not enjoyable, if we think doing bhakti is not giving us peace and calmness, then we are not doing the process right. It's the process problem in implementation, and not in the bhakti itself. So again, a happy Kartik to everyone. Hope each of us can take some vows and inspire each other in following it strictly this month, and that way we'll benefit many, many times more, because it's Kartik. With that, I'll like to conclude the summary. Hare Krishna.